everyone. Welcome to At Home with Sally. I'm Sally Clarkson, and I have the biggest privilege in the world to be with so many friends from all over the world who join me every week to listen to my stories, inspiration, biblical encouragement, and I am just so glad that you're here today. Thanks so much for joining me. Hello, my friends. I am so excited to talk with you today. I love this community. I love talking with you, getting your notes, seeing you face to face. It's just a whole lot of fun. But I am doing something special today because I stopped doing 2 podcasts a week for a period of time so that I can settle into my life eventually in about 10,000 years. But I was thinking the other day about several friends that have been dear to me over the years. And I think one of the biggest advantages to what Clay and I do is that we get to rub shoulders with dear friends and people who are also having an impact in education and in the lives of people. And so I thought, I need to get a hold of Sam Smith, S.T. Smith. And have just a special podcast with him because we just love their family so much. So today, I am going to do a really fun interview with Sam Smith. Hi, Sam.
Hi, Sally.
It's so fun to have you on my podcast today. It's just such a shame that we can't all be together eating fried chicken at the little place where we always meet.
Yes, McDougal's. You know that place is shut down. That location. They're still open, but I tried to go there the other day, and it made me sad. You weren't there, and the place was shut down.
Oh, I'm so sad. Well, we met years ago at a conference and started this tradition of going out once a year for fried chicken together. And Sam, I know that everybody in my arena, in my audience, knows you. But I want everybody to know all about you and tell us about your family, your books. Just introduce yourself to all of my friends out there in podcast land.
Thank you, Sally. It's so cool. I remember we met you. I had the cool privilege of meeting you guys before I knew how famous you were.
I'm not famous.
This happens a lot because I can tend to be a little bit oblivious about some of that. I know who all the players for Liverpool Football Club and the English Premier League and the World Cup rugby and stuff, but I don't always know other kinds of celebrities. So I met you guys and you were so cool and we hit it off and became friends. And then it was like not that long after people were like, "Oh my goodness, are you serious? You met them?"
Oh no, no, they did.
So I got to, how you kind of like you. It's nice to meet people who don't exactly know everything about you because they're your friends from before anybody knew who you were, and I felt like we had that chance just because of my profound ignorance.
And also because of our mutual love for fried chicken at McDougal's.
Oh my goodness, yes, that's where the real unity comes in the church. I think that's the way back. Just all of us get together. The reunification of the church will happen because of chicken.
Well, there you go. Well, and I do feel like we're both hobbits, your family and ours, and we love to eat and talk and write and speak, and so it was just such a fun time. To meet you all. But anyway, so how many kids do you have?
We have 4. We've read your books and been influenced a lot by you guys over the years. And my wife Gina she loves you and loves spending time with you every chance that we've gotten. She's been a treasure for us. But my wife Gina is just beautiful. She's awesome. She's a homemaker and home educator, and she runs a business, and she's beautiful, and she has amazing hair and beautiful eyes, and I go on and on about her.
She does have amazing hair and beautiful eyes.
Oh my goodness.
Well, and your kids tell us how old so people can kind of picture your coming to us with ethos. This is not just an empty slate. You have raised the most amazing kids. And I'm going to stop right here because I may forget to say it. For all of you in listening to this today, there are certain people in our lives that we come across, and as we get to know them better and better and spend more time with them, who have integrity and they seek virtue and their family is authentic. And I want you to know, Sam, that's how we think of you. We are so delighted to know you, but also you spur us on to excellence. So I wanted everybody to know you're the real deal and you're really also funny. Very funny.
Oh, thank you. That means so much coming from you. You have this power to, and that's another memory of you. You and Clay. Clay's been, Clay's like my hero. I love Clay. I want to be like Clay when I grow up. But and particularly, I remember my brother, who's like my best friend. You were talking about some of my kids. My kids are 20, 17, 14, and 11. My 17-year-old is named Josiah, and he could totally be a Clarkson. He's the recording music, making films, writing books, and all my kids are like that. He just might be the most like that. Like the man in Casablanca said, he's just like other men, only more so. That's definitely him. But his name's Josiah, and he's named after my brother, who I worked really closely with, who's my best friend. And you have had such a huge impact on. People think about you as being really influential with women, and that's true for sure. It's awesome. But I'm telling you, you have a ministry that's broad, and I just in person, again, speaking about being the real deal, not just being sort of somebody on a stage or in a book or on a podcast, but you've ministered to my brother so much, and you know how when you love somebody so much, and then something good happens for them, or there's a good relationship, or a good encouragement, or somebody just kind of sees them, and my brother Josiah is such a humble. He's such a humble, like wingman, he props me up and he supports me and he doesn't care about getting glory. But he's such a good guy and he's such a beautiful man. He's such an encourager. He's honestly saved my life so many times.
Well, I just love Josiah. I immediately.
Well, I know it's not to love, but I just thank you for you've spoken into his life and he loves you so much, and you were such an impact. So I'm so grateful for you, not even just for what you've meant for me, which has been a lot, me and Jean and our family, but just like you love my brother, and you were so encouraging. And that's just a huge deal to me.
The whole family. We just have so much fun together. Well, I wanted to get you before. Many people know this, many people don't. I'm leaving to go over to Oxford again in a couple of weeks. But I saw your beautiful site, your new logo, and I know that you have a wonderful new book coming out, which, on my Tea Time Tuesdays, I always talk about at least one particular book, one at a time, so that people can really focus on them. So we will focus on what's coming out, but also tell us for the people who I don't think anybody's new to you, but maybe they are. What you do and what your books are, and kind of what you've kind of done recently.
Well, thank you. This is, again, speaking of knowing people before anything, we knew each other before. You were very kind to us before we had any success with books or anything. But I wrote the Green Ember series and written a couple other things too that are out there. But the Green Ember series is sort of what we've been known for, and there's 10 books in that series. And Joel Clarkson, we were sitting around a fire at another friend's house one day, and I asked Joel. I think it was Joel, and
it was at night. It was night. Let's just paint the picture. It's this beautiful dark night. We're all exhausted because we've all been talking too much and being together at this wonderful conference. And Joel just inconspicuously, my easygoing, as you said, like your Josiah, boy, I couldn't be more surprised than what happened. And so paint the picture. You all these guys sitting outside, all the women are sitting inside where it's warm. And so what happened?
It's fire, and it's a beautiful night, and I'm asking for advice about the Green Ember audio book because I knew that I wasn't quite ready to perform it. I just think I could do a decent job, but I've seen like the local car commercial where the guy has his grandkids on it, and they're like, come down to Peepaw's Chevrolet, and they think it's really cute, but it's really just a terrible commercial, and everybody else knows it, but they won't say anything to them. I didn't want to do that for my own book and perform it in this way that everybody's like, yeah, that was great, good job.
Way to go, Sam. Bless your heart.
I wanted to be Excellent, because we have this heart. I know you have the same heart to actually to love and serve the audience, to give them a good gift, and it's not just about self promotion or even self expression. It's about generosity and hospitality. And so I was just really working on that and trying to think of like, and I know you guys have a lot of experience. I was like, you guys have any advice for anybody who could possibly perform this audiobook? And it was kind of quiet for a second, and I think Clay was sort of like side eyeing Joel. And Joel just kind of sheepishly sort of like put his hand like halfway up, and then he's like, I could try it." And then Clay went on to say, "Oh, Joel's our reader. Joel's the one that always performed and I didn't know this, but because Joel's so talented in so many other ways, I was like, there's no possibility that he could actually do this well as well." And he was so cool. Another thing about Joel that I love is that he did that thing where, you just help a friend out and you just take all the pressure off. So he just said, "Listen, we're friends, and that's unusual for me to put myself forward like this. I love doing this kind of thing, but I'm going to make it so easy for you to say no. Like I'm going to assume you're going to say no, and that's totally fine. Just tell you that right now. If it's okay, I'll read a couple of chapters and send it to you, and you can just decide, and there's no pressure." It was, just the coolest bro thing to do.
Hey, bro, I read.
But he read it and he sent them to us later, and they were so good. And my wife's like looking at me like, "That's it. He's the one."
I can't believe it. I mean, I still to this day can't believe, number one, that he volunteered, because he is an introvert, and he's, he really is a good reader, but he loves it. He enjoys doing it. As a matter of fact, he would read me passages from your book when we were in Oxford, and he also read a passage of a book he's writing. He would just sit there and read your book and read it to me because he loves doing the voices and he loves the stories. And he thought that was the biggest privilege in the world. And
I hope there's more ahead.
I can't believe you trusted him.
Oh, it was so good. He's so good. He the thing that you probably feel this too, that even sometimes working with publishers or working with people that, the further you sort of get further from your sort of your own crew and your own close knit like team and family, like, do people care? Like it's, and so I'm always looking for people who care.
That's a great point.
Even in coaching, like I coach soccer and stuff, and there's a if you have like a less technically gifted coach who brings passion and cares. Like when I coach youth soccer, I'm like, I want to look at these kids in the face and like see them as like these human beings that are full of learning and grow. I see them like my kids, I want to give them a gift. And so more than just like, how useful are you for me to try to achieve victory today? And there's such a difference when somebody cares versus having high technique or something. So he cared. So he cared about everything. He cared about every voice. He ran each character by me, and he cared about the details, which is what we care about. And so that means he cared about the audience. And so it's just he was an ally, and he is an ally and a partner.
I think that's why your books touch people's hearts so much, because you have developed them, written them, produced them in such a way that they feel like their best friend is inside their house. They're following the story, and they get involved in it, and they love the voices, and they love the moods and the things that they do. This little rabbit world. And do you ever say something and think, did I say that? Is that the right thing to say? Anyway.
It's so true. And you wouldn't believe how many people, I mean, I hear from people all the time. You have this privilege too, just to receive a lot of mail. And I mean, I was talking to another author the other day, and it just reminded me of what a privilege, like this insane privilege I have of, I'm looking, and I've got a file cabinet over here it's tens of thousands of letters and art from kids. And there's how many authors get letters from kids that say,
I think that's amazing that you do.
And they say, "I'm praying for you. I'm praying for you." And how many people have a bunch of kids out there praying? What a privilege.
That is amazing. I think the fact that the kids will remember you their whole lives. And I have a lot of friends who tell me that their kids listen to the Green Ember when they go to bed at night.
That's what I was leading up to. I was just like, Joel is in their homes, like, and I, in my words, they do. I've heard from people who say they've just this every night. They listen to the Green Ember every night for years, and so Joel's voice, his comforting voice and storytelling is just it's. I mean, and you wouldn't believe how many of those audiobooks are out there. It is a lot.
Well, I can't wait to just keep hearing more. I was thinking the other day, there's just so much junk on Netflix, in the world, on the news, in stories. And I feel like for a child to have an innocent period of time where they can enter into the world of heroes and imagine themselves to be a hero and what they would do, and for them to, your brain is shaped by the pathways, the roads that we develop by speaking, by narrating, by talking, by the stories we tell. And to think that all of those children are going into the world, that you conceived this idea, you conceived this hero place where they could make decisions, and they were up against difficulty, but they made the right decision and they were heroes. That is going to shape even who they become as adults, because they still have in their conscience just these streams of virtue and bravery and character. And I just really am so grateful that you took the risk. I think that so many people have ideas, but you all did the hard work of taking the risk of trying to do it, and it worked. And I'm so excited. Okay, well, we're going to run out of time at some point, but so tell me about kind of what is new with you, and also we need to at least mention that you have an exciting new story coming out.
Okay. Well, thank you. And one last thing on what you just said is because I got a message yesterday from a mom who had her daughter just started college.
Huh?
She was going to college, and she said it's 10:47, and I've already received 3 compliments from people at this college because I'm wearing my SD Smith shirt, my Green Ember shirt, and that just made me. So all these kids, like, it's just like what you're saying, like these kids that are sort of like growing up on the Green Ember, they're going into college and starting their early sort of adulthood, and that is to have a little place in their hearts is such a privilege. And really trying to make the stories, I don't know, to try to kind of extend I think there's something special that's going on. I think we just are just now doing a pre-order on a re-release of new editions of the Green Ember. So I'm super excited about these because they look beautiful. It's more clear, a little bit more hospitable. We've got the Green Ember logo on all the books now, so it's a little less confusing. Like, what is this series? What is that series? It's a little more, the world is a little more coherent. We kind of, if you think about Star Wars, like we just sort of, we got our label on all of it, and it's a little bit makes sense. I think the covers are beautiful. We've sort of reworked them, but there's also some behind the scenes stuff in these new books, particularly the Green Ember and the Last Archer and the Black Star of Kingston, all have kind of like well, it's funny too. Your family just keeps coming up in the story, but I wrote, so I include in this behind the scenes for the Green Ember a sort of a prologue that I wrote that we never ended up using. But I wonder, I can't remember for sure if that was included in the copy that I gave to Sarah, because Sarah, your daughter Sarah, was one of the very first readers of the Green Ember. And I've probably mentioned this every time we do an interview or something together, but she's just like a hero to me, because she was, again, talk about before anybody knew. So nobody, now there is a little bit of like, oh, the Green Ember, some people know about it, but then nobody knew. And she was one of the first people that spoke into my life, like said, this is good and this is special. And she said,
she's a specialist at children's literature, so she meant it.
Oh, well, it meant so much, because, I think she was such a person of integrity, and it didn't feel like she was just saying, like, patting me on the head. Actually, there were other people who had a different reaction and very discouraging.
Of course.
She was just such a light, and and she said, I'll write an endorsement for it. I'll do it. And so that endorsement, I think, is still, it's just that is, we still use that all the time. And that was, I don't know, 10 years ago, almost 9 years ago or something. So anyway, I'm just always grateful for her. But the new editions have some behind the scenes stuff, some early art, and some things that Zach Franzen worked on. And so they're kind of collectors items, and we're doing this cool thing where we're doing all 10 books for $99 for all 10 books of this new rework things, and I'm signing 10,000 copies of them. So I'm signing
Oh
1,000.
my gosh, Sam, as though you don't have anything to do. Well, I think that's so cool. You can have your own Green Ember library. Now, just a minute. Now we're going to back up because put me in the world of Green Ember. What kind of world is it, and what are the heroes, and how in the world did you conceive this? Did you tell these stories to your kids when they were growing up?
I did, yeah. These were, my Annie, who's now, or Anne, she's 20, and my Josiah is 17. Those two particularly were these stories were for them, and so yeah, totally uncalculated, totally non-business, non-marketing, no idea. I just told these stories because there were rabbits hopping around in the yard, and I just started telling. Particularly Anne at first, she's just a little toddler, and I just started telling her stories about these rabbits. And there was an older sister and a younger brother because that was her life, and so I told her about this older sister, and it just became this serial that on walks and bedtimes and just special times together that we shared. And I've told this, I've said this in other interviews, but it's so true that when I actually wrote the Green Ember, the first book, I genuinely felt like we'd already won, like that we had this sort of memento of our time together, and it was just going to be this special thing between me and my kids, and that's good enough. Like, that's a win. So when we shared it with the world, my expectations weren't high. I mean, they were. Part of me was like, this is kind of special. Like, we've had some magic here. And part of me was like, no one's going to buy this. No one's good. No one. This is crazy.
What's the syndrome? The imposter syndrome.
Yeah. Well, I had this, like, I thought it was pretty logical because, and I think that's sort of true because there's something sort of there's some audacity that sort of gets around rationality. But I thought, because the rabbits, that only little kids would read rabbit stories, but it's like very serious story.
So I want a rabbit story right now. Every time I go walking these days, a little rabbit jumps out every morning and says, "Hello, Sally." So
Me too.
I actually enjoy listening to your stories. Keep going. I'm sorry, I interrupted.
No, you should write. You should write one. Try write one better. We'll have a competition.
Oh, no! I want you to write that, and I'll go walking with my little rabbits. Anyway.
But the stories they follow an older sister and a younger brother, Heather and Pickett, and those are the point of view characters throughout the series, and particularly maybe Heather. And Heather is really the character that I identify with most. She's an older sibling who feels a lot of responsibility. She's sort of stay by this stuff. She's not so I think she actually is looking more at Pickett, who's maybe a more interesting character in some ways because he grows more, he has more flaws, but they're both grow and change, and different books will have more emphasis on one or the other, but it's really about those two. And so that's another unique feature. What's special you don't often have it's really a boys and girls book, I think. And I didn't do that on purpose. I just did that because I had a older sister and a younger brother. But I think boys and girls both love it, and it's got enough fighting, enough action, but it's got a lot of heart and soul, and it's so yeah, it's a lot about heroic virtue, and I'd call it a new story with an old soul, and I think that's the most faithful sort of way to talk about it. That kids enjoy. Yeah, I mean, kids enjoy it on this sort of, hey, it's like Robin Hood, adventure, exciting fights and swords and escapes and long bow shots, and they love it on that stuff, which I do too. But then there is a bit of there's sort of this deep well of meaning that's flowing underneath it to get to where I've I can't tell you how many letters, messages, and in-person people come up to me, often mothers who are literally like crying while they tell me this, but they'll say the climax of the book, I'm sitting on the couch crying, and my kids are jumping off the couch. Like they're so we have this thing that's like the kids leap for joy and moms weep for joy. And that's happened so many times. And again, that wasn't calculated. It just feels like that's what that was the gift that the Lord gave us. And he had bigger plans.
I think it's a wonderful work of a lifetime because we need hope and encouragement and stories that invigorate us and that touch a part of our heart. And so, but I don't want just one story. I want it to keep going. I want my friends that I made friends with the first book to be my friends for a long time. So that's what I think is great about this. Well, so tell me, I don't know a lot about the the new book coming would be a great Christmas present, I'm sure. Um, tell me about Christmas is too near to us already. Um, tell me about what the new book is.
Okay, I will. You might regret this because you might just lose your whole reputation on this one. But
Oh, no, I think I know you.
well, as you mentioned earlier, but there is definitely a silly side to me. So if you want the heroic virtue, if you want that deep meaning, the Green Ember is right there for you. There's also just a very I'll tell you this kind of is another connection between us, but you guys are Anglophiles and your kids are half British, and you spend a lot of time over there. My papa was a ball turret gunner in World War II, and he was in the
Oh,
U.S. Army Air Corps. And in a B-17, he flew several missions
my
over
goodness.
occupied France. And wonderful man, beautiful man. At one point, he was in the hospital over there and in England, and he found this book from an author called from the 19th century, and the author was Jerome K. Jerome, and the book was Idle Thoughts of an Idle Fellow. And I'm actually looking at his copy. I've got it right in my hands right now.
Send that to me on a text so that I don't forget it because I want to look up that book.
Okay, it's so good. But it's so funny. And so he's in this sort of dark, they're literally liberating Europe, and he's a big part of it. And the U.S. Army Air Corps, these mostly men who are flying these missions. The casualty rate was higher than in the 8th Air Force, which the U.S. Army Air
Oh,
Corps became. More people died in that than died in the entire Marine Corps
oh my
in the war.
gosh, really?
So
Because they were on the front lines?
and yeah, that was just so you think about all the Pacific campaigns of these heroic Marine Corps. More people died in the 8th Air Force, and there's a wonderful book about it called Masters of the Air, which I read and just really honor my papa, who I love so much. His name's Claire Smith, and so he's sitting in this dark time, dark, difficult. You never know what day you're gonna be up there, and you're gonna be killed. And
Of
you have
course.
very dear friends. My father's named after his best friend Don, who was killed in a B-17. So
Mm.
it's a very dark time. But Papa finds this book, and he's in this drab English hospital in the wartime, and he's reading this book, and he's laughing so hard
Oh
at
my
this book,
goodness.
Idle Thoughts of an Idle Fellow. And it is so funny. It's such a funny book, but does it have a lot of like moral value or virtue? Not a whole lot. It's just like the virtue of laughter.
I
And
think
so
God created laughter because there's something about laughing and crying that heal you.
there is. It's so true. It's so true. And this is definitely more of the laughing thing. So I'm a little bit inspired by that kind of thing. And there's a silly side to me for sure. And I
Yes.
just let it loose totally in this new book. And the book is called Mooses with Bazookas and Other Stories Children Should Never Read. Um,
So of course they're going to want to read it.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope it
Sounds like
incentivizes.
this would be a good read it out loud and let everybody laugh at the same time.
Yes.
Oh, that's silly.
It's so bad. But I was on a book tour once in South Carolina, and I was at a bookstore, and I had a friend who said, he's I don't know, it's a little bit of my love language for somebody to sort of make fun of me, or like not make fun of that you're sort of a minor celebrity or something. I love it when people sort of, I don't know, I have brothers and that kind of thing. I just I think that makes me laugh a lot when people make fun of me for some reason. But he said to me, "So are you still doing this rabbits with swords thing?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm still doing that." And he says, "Why don't you mix it up a little bit? Why don't you do like, I don't know, like mooses with bazookas or something?" And
Somebody said that to you?
yeah, he was a friend, and I thought it was so funny.
That is
He
hysterical.
said that I went home that night and I started writing this mooses with bazookas story, which was just very, very silly. And that's like a little novelette or something that's sort of at the core of this new book. But there are other stories too. A couple of them are sweet, and a couple of them are I don't know. There's several funny ones, and I had to figure out this framework to do it while being S.D. Smith, this author of these stories. So this framework is that that I'm receiving these messages in a bottle, kind of a thing, and which is difficult to imagine when you're in West Virginia, which is landlocked, but somehow it happens. And there's a man who's stranded on an island. His name's Wally Warmbottom, and he is
Oh
stranded on a
my
deserted
gosh.
island. And he's a super pretentious author, which I love. And he's really very self-important, and he's sending these messages like, "Please rescue me," but he's describing his life on the island. So the book is a series of his letters, and then he finds a story cave. He calls it the story cave, and there are just a bunch of manuscripts in these clay jars in this on this island. So the different stories, Mooses Bazookas is one of them, and he sends that to me, and he says, this is a warning, you shouldn't read it. It kind of sounds really dumb, it's really bad, and so I'm sort of like curating these stories from Wally Warmbottom, and that's sort of the way the story or the way the
Bottom. Is that to appeal to boys? I don't know. You
I
know,
don't, it just felt right. I don't know, it just felt right.
it's cute. The funny thing is you are hysterical with a straight face. So
It's very dry. It's very dry. Yeah.
no, it's great, and I can just I don't know. This sounds too delightful to resist.
Well, maybe it'll be the last thing. Maybe I'll be canceled, and people say you should write just virtue stuff, and you can't. And the homeschool crowd will turn on me. But I tend to think I meet a lot of people out there on book tours and stuff, and there's a lot of people who have a really good sense of humor, and they want to, and they need to laugh. Like that's what it feels like.
We need to laugh. We do.
It's a heavy time. There's like everything is. You can't talk about. You can't not only religion and politics, you can't talk about medicine anymore. You can't talk about anything without just everything. You're in the one side of the Civil War, and so everything's so serious. And you can, whether you take this or take that or don't, or you eat this or you don't eat that, or you use toothpaste. Everybody's so uptight about everything, and I'm not to minimize. I'm sure there's a lot of really important struggles and battles, but everything is so heavy and serious. And I think laughter's the best medicine. So we did a little shoot of story worm books, and we're calling it Best Medicine Books, and we're going to put out some funny stuff occasionally.
I think that'll be fantastic. And if they eat fried chicken while they're reading it, it'll be it'll be a perfect match.
Yes, that's right. That's the equivalent. Like a kid, yeah, sure, you should eat your vegetables and do the right thing and exercise and stuff, but occasionally you have some fried chicken and a cake. And that's what this is. This is fried chicken and cake.
I can't wait. Well, I people probably think we eat fried chicken all the time, but the reason we were meeting at this place was because we were trying to get time alone, someplace where nobody else in the conference was going, and it just happened that it was actually tasty. But anyway, I feel like I just digressed, but I can't wait to read it. When is it hot off the press?
I will send it to you. I don't depends on where in the world you are, but they will be the new book, Mooses with Bazookas. I feel confident in saying that the first week-ish of November. I don't know if I have the date exactly, but early November. Keep an eye on it. The best way, if you're up for following me on social media or getting my newsletter, actually, bonus, if you sign up for my newsletter, you get the first book we were talking about earlier, the Green Ember audiobook, read by the wonderful Joel Clarkson, for free if you sign up for my newsletter.
Oh.
So if you got the newsletter, then you'll find out right when Mooses with Bazookas is out, and you can get the whole Green Ember series signed and Mooses with Bazookas signed, and have your Christmas taken care of.
Oh my gosh, we're going to call you Sam Santa or Santa Sam.
Santa the salesman, maybe.
Well, I need a little bit of that. I'm not great at that. Well, this has been so much fun. I'm just so excited to hear about all these things, and we must meet again soon, either in England or here. So I will be home by Christmas. I'll be home by Christmas.
I can count on you.
You can count on me. So yeah, I would love to read it out loud to my children and have them giggle. Whoever's going to be here, we'll see who is.
It is pretty. If there are parents who are already frowning and worried, it isn't like there aren't. It's not like bathroom jokes and the whole time. It's not like edgy. I'm not actually interested in edgy. I think it's pretty broadly pretty hospitable to kids. It's not, but it's funny and silly.
Well, that is a relief. I was holding my breath. No, but you know what? You do need to say that. I mean, in this world of like you said, all of the contrasts and isms. I'm glad that you put my mind at rest on that. But even just that, the name of the person who's in the cave, just I couldn't. I mean, I had to hold back my giggles. So,
Wally Warmbottom, yeah, he's great. I've always loved to make fun of sort of the pretension of. I love being an author. I think it's great, but I get a little bit of a kick. Actually, I think you and I have actually talked about this some, but sort of sometimes authors get a little, I don't know, or creative people or something. There's a little bit of a like, hey, check us out. We're the snobs and we're the inner ring and all that. And I remember at one point you said, I'd like to sell some books, and I remember just resonating with that. Like I gotta, like I don't think I'm more, I don't look down on my audience. Like I like them. And I sort of have this, like, don't get too big for your britches. And I sort of think it's funny to make a little bit light of sort of the pretensions of some of the, artistic or, or author class. It makes me laugh.
Well, I actually think that what made our messages acceptable to our children was we had a whole bunch of fun. We giggled, we laughed, we dressed up, we partied, we ate, we sang, we tromped. And so maybe I'll dress up when I read this book. Maybe I'll put on a jester suit.
That would be a wonderful gesture if you would be dressed as a jester.
Anyway, we're having a little bit too much fun. Well, okay. Did you say where everybody can get a hold of you? I think you did, but say it again.
Okay, sdsmith.com is easy. You can find all my stuff. sdsmith.com.
Great. Well, great talking with you. Our paths will cross soon. They almost passed recently, but then we almost speak at the same places, but not always. Anyway,
and when I come to Colorado, you're in England, and when you're home, I'm not there. Yeah, we just keep missing each other. You're gonna have to come. You have to come stay with us in West Virginia. It's in between England and Colorado, so I think should be you should parachute down.
Is it a plane stop there? Can I fly from London to West Virginia?
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, Beckley's Airport's got it's probably smaller than it's like a couple of trailers put together is our local airport. So maybe not.
Oh, it's quiet and beauty sounds great with good friends. I'll have to consider that. Well, Clay says hello and Joel says hello. And thank you for joining me today. Thank you, all of our friends, for having fun with Sam and me. And Sam, I hope you just have the best year. Tell your sweet Wi-Fi. And we'll do this again.
Thank you, Sally, and thanks to everybody who's listened to our little. This felt like tea time. Felt like we were just hanging out over tea, and I love that you love your audience, and I feel the same way. And it's such a privilege, and really grateful to you guys who are listening. You folks, I think you're not allowed to say you guys anymore. That's against the law. No. But thank you, and that's such an honor. Your attention and your care just it means the world to me. So thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, I ditto that. Well, have a good day. Goodbye, everybody. Bye-bye. I hope you've enjoyed our time together today and that you'll join me next week. Be sure to look for more inspiration on my blog at sallyclarkson.com. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.